Okay. For anyone who just joined, welcome to the Public Landscaper Workgroup meeting on small off-road engines. I'm again Navashni Mitchell. I go by Ash, an air pollution specialist at the California Air Resources Board, or CARB. I'm joined today by several of my colleagues, Manisha Singh, Chief of the Quality Management Branch, Christopher Dilbeck, Manager of the Testing and Certification Section, who is my supervisor, Matthew Holmes, Jordan Odom, and Nicole Lambenicio, who are in the Testing and Certification section, as well as Josh Simmons, Vicky Hanks, and AJ Edwards from the Mobile Source Control Division. We will start with a recap from the last meeting, hear landscaper experiences with zero-emission equipment, hear about power management systems from CRESS and EGO, and have a panel discussion on incentives. We also have time for questions and answers. Please feel free to put questions in the Q&A. We will answer questions from the Q&A and call on those with raised hands, as well as those submitted via registration after the presentations. Next slide, please. Before we begin, let's have a quick recap from our previous meetings. We have received a handful of nominations for businesses to serve on the panel of landscapers and have confirmed with those businesses that they are willing to serve on the panel. Some of those panelists shared in previous meetings. Our panelists will participate in the landscaper experiences with zero-emission equipment and incentives section. We are still accepting nominations. You may review our presentations from previous meetings on what we envision for the panel. We encourage landscapers to let their legislators know that they want more incentive funding. We received questions regarding incentives for larger businesses. These are available in some air districts through the Carl Moyer program. Representatives from several air districts are here today participating in the incentive question and answer panel. We have received some questions about electrical infrastructure and the potential need for upgrades to electrical service. A strategy to reduce the need for additional electrical circuits is the use of power management systems. Multiple chargers can be plugged into these devices, and one can cycle through charging several batteries unattended, with charging stretched out over a course of time. We have also invited CRESS and EGO to speak on their smart charging technologies. Previously, we had Greenworks, Still, and TOA share their smart charging solutions to help with charging many batteries. As a reminder, this work group meets 4 times a year. Next slide, please. The SOAR rules apply to manufacturers for producing new engines, which need certification in order to be sold in California. The rules do not have requirements for equipment owners. So that means equipment may continue to be used and repaired, and certified equipment in stores may continue to be sold. Next slide, please. California Air Resources Board has received authorization from the US EPA regarding the SOAR regulations. This authorization decision was published in the Federal Register on January 6, 2025. CARB will focus on outreach and education in 2025. Full implementation of the SOAR regulations will begin with model year 2026. CARB will issue executive orders for 2025 engines that meet the 2023 standards. CARB issued a manufacturer's advisory correspondence in January of 2025 that includes more information about the implementation of the rules. Dealers and other retailers may continue to sell certified equipment from 2024 and 2025. There is no requirement to stop selling certified equipment. You may find additional information about the updated rules in our presentations from previous workgroup meetings and in other documents on the CARB website. Next slide, please. Okay, we have asked landscapers on the panel to share their experience with zero emissions equipment and incentives programs. We've invited Eric Diaz of Alpine Lion Landscape, Chris Angelo of Stay Green, and Blake Mall of Garden View Landscaping here today. And let me find them. Okay, I found Blake. Let me find, here we go, Chris. And let me find Eric. Okay, I've unmuted you on my side, and you guys will have to unmute on your side. And you'll be able to talk.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Can we go to next slide, please, Matt, to show the prompts? Okay, so Eric and Chris and Blake, can you guys take turns? Maybe we'll start with Eric. If you could share your experiences.
Sure. Thank you, Ash and CARB for having me. My name is Eric Diaz with Alpine Line Landscape and formerly ground supervisor for almost 10 years at the University of Southern California, where we were the first AGSA Green Zone certified university in the country. Yeah, so my experience with battery and electric equipment goes back all the way back to 2010 when we started using corded equipment back before any of these great tools were even available. For the most part, it's always been a positive experience in terms of benefits. I would say, of course, the environmental benefits, noise reduction, healthier tools for the operators. I would say that's a big one that do not take into account.
I'm sorry, Eric. It's sounding like far away.
Oh, let me
It's
see.
better now.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say, just again, to repeat the benefits, I would say, of course, the environmental, pollutant reduction into the air. Secondary would be noise reduction. These tools allow you to be more flexible with the work that you do, allowing you to do work a lot earlier in the day and around. For us, it was around housing, student housing, and apartments, where we are not bugging, the students as much, given that these tools are so much quieter. And then lastly, another benefit I would mention that I think a lot of people do not take into account is the benefit of the operator not having to breathe in all of those contaminants and pollutants, and for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And I think that's a big one for anyone thinking about transitioning with these tools. In terms of hesitations of making the switch at this point, honestly, I do not see any at this point. I think most of the tools and the manufacturers make really solid commercial tools at this point. The only thing I would mention in terms of that, again, in terms of the transition, I would not go ahead and make a huge investment into any one tool or one manufacturer. I do my research and test out as much as I could before going out and buying 30, 40, or more tools at a time. Sometimes, they can all be great tools, but sometimes it just comes down to the operator's personal preference and what they, will actually use. And it comes down to something as simple as that. In terms of charging strategies, what we've always done is just mostly purchase the amount of batteries that we need to get through our job during the day, and we just charge when we get back at the end of the day. I do not have very much experience with these some of the tools and chargers that Crest and Eagle are going to go through later today. And in terms of the incentive programs, yeah, we've used all of them. The state program, the local SC AQMD programs, and that's how we purchased most of our tools at a heavily discounted rate, up to 85, 90% at, some years back. So those programs have been huge for my transition personally with my business. It being a AGSA also certified service pro, and then also when we were first going through the transition at the university, this is how we purchased all of our equipment. And one example I'll give there is that when we went to transition all of our sit-down mowers, instead of spending something upwards of 100,000 for 3 mowers, we spent around 30,000 for those 3 mowers. So the programs definitely make a big impact and are a huge help.
Gotcha. Thank you, Eric. Maybe we can go to Chris next. Chris Angelo of Stay Green.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, Ash. My camera's not on. I'm not sure how to turn it on or if I can.
It doesn't let me. I think with the attendee, it doesn't let me put the camera on.
Okay. So you won't be able to see me. But my name's Chris Angelo, owner and operator of Stay Green Incorporated. We're a Southern California-based commercial landscape outfit operating out of 5 counties. I have about 10, 11 locations and a pretty significant workforce group. So we currently have 300 pieces of Crest electric battery equipment deployed out in our branches, and that's probably about 20 to 25% of our handheld equipment as it relates to our route sizes. We've been using battery equipment for over a decade, basically brought on through city regulations, particular cities within LA County, and the city of LA. And so we adopted battery to stay compliant and to keep those clients happy. Obviously, the technology's improved, the battery life has improved. Like Eric had mentioned, the top 3 benefits for us at Stay Green would be the emissions, the reduction of the fuel usage, having to manage fuel loss. We're not seeing electrical theft like you can with your small canned fuel loss. And then also the maintenance aspects of the equipment. So with the electric, there's a lot less moving parts to replace. And so our mechanics are doing different things now today with the equipment or different equipment. So those would be the top 3 benefits. Interesting aspect on our hesitation, switching from gas now. So as of recent, this past January, 3 of our locations in LA County lost power due to the fires. Our location sat in a fire danger zone, and we were on the same circuit and or switch that SoCal Edison was mandated by the state to switch off because of a fire hazard, and we lost power for several days. So when we think about emergency situations, and we've gone through a conversion with electric, there will have to be some contingency plans here. And so I know the intention through the regulations is to reduce the emissions and the carbon emissions, but we saw some significant loss of opportunity to use some of our equipment in emergency situations because we weren't able to charge the equipment. We also do have Crest, so we have the battery banks that store power, but they don't store them for a significant duration of time, weeks at a time. So, and generators aren't really in our business. I would say economical for us to stay in business to have a bunch of generators in our yard. So that's a new hesitation that I wanted to mention to staff and to the audience so that we can start thinking about some of those solutions. I know putting power underground as opposed to live wires above ground will circumvent that in the future, but currently our infrastructure, we've got through the county of LA, a lot of lines above ground.
Gotcha. Sorry, Chris, we're at like 4 minutes, at like 5 minutes for each person.
Yep, sure. And then again, I just want to anchor the incentive programs. We've capitalized on all of them. They've been great in the state, and we continue to double down on Cress battery equipment after testing all the manufacturers. So we're very happy with them. Thank you, Ash.
Thank you. And next, let's have Blake Mall of Garden View.
Hey there. Yeah. Hi. Thanks for having me. The name's Blake, Meal Mall, however
Hi.
you want to say that. I don't even know how to pronounce it. From Garden View Landscape. We're in the LA County area as well. A bit smaller of a operation than Stay Green, and a bit more tight of a radius. So we've been able to actually convert our entire fleet over to the battery systems. Now, apart from a couple of situations, like Chris mentioned, we have a handful of
Yeah,
contingency.
but can you
Yeah.
check in for Emily? Yeah, it's in the parking lot. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Let me
Also,
go ahead, Blake.
okay. So, we did have to have some contingency blowers and equipment because there was a lot of lack of power during all the fire situations, and the demand for the work was, naturally through the roof with all the winds and issues. Though that was also coupled with blowers being outlawed effectively in Pasadena for respiratory issues and etc. But there are that when it comes to top benefits, I guess I should hit this in the right order. You know, the pollution and emission stuff is great. Granted, from a explicitly business perspective, that is a great byproduct. And while we all want to do the right thing and make the right effective investment in our future and in the environment, when we're looking at, okay, well, if we have to make that investment, hopefully everybody has to do it, or there is a way that it becomes economically doable, which is what's so beautiful about the incentive programs that have made it facilitatable for us. But apart from that, we've been able to start our jobs earlier, even is one of the great benefits of the quieter blowers. We would have people complaining all the time before 8 a.m. and the guys want to get started at 6:55, and there's plenty of issues. Whereas now with these, now at least our experience with these crest blowers that we're using is they're extremely quiet and have not been creating the same disruptions, which is also great for our team's ears, obviously, and safety. And as Chris also mentioned, the reduction in maintenance is significant. We found once we got a facilities person doing repairs, all of a sudden the guys didn't even want to change a simple little filter out on their own. They wanted to send it to the facility repair guy, and it became kind of ridiculous. And we managed to circumvent all of those things by just having all this battery equipment. My hesitations were kind of widespread, and I started talking to AGSA in 2019. Dan started knocking my door down, and he slowly broke me down through all of them. And a lot of those hesitations have been alleviated with the technology improvements. I wish I could say that we were dragging cords around and doing it 10 or 15 years ago, but it just was very difficult to get the adoption from the guys that are actually using the equipment. Has been my biggest challenge was, okay, these guys are used to throwing a water bottle full of gasoline and two-stroke in their pocket, going to the top of a freaking mountain and spending 2.5 hours straight just on full blast throttle and not having to change a battery or do anything like that. And so between getting the cyber tanks and these larger capacity batteries and make it a more cost-effective solution, it's really gotten us around these hesitations. And ultimately, it's there's still the little bit of pushback from the guys on how, and really that's my challenge of going, oh, we got to get enough batteries and enough infrastructure to make sure they have it. The best part about what the Crest system is doing as far as that charging strategy, and the reason that we invested in Crest explicitly is that they have a charge time ratio to operation time where the charge time is shorter than the operation duration.
Gotcha.
But
Sorry, Blake, we're right at 4 minutes. There's one more
no
minute.
problem. Yeah, I took advantage of the incentive programs. They were critical in us being able to make the transition. I don't, between just theft alone, to be able to go, okay, well, we can, the sales pitch for most of the electric vendors is, hey, here's a blower, and you are just investing in all your gas up front. But even just with that, we have guys just running and sneaking and stealing blowers when we turn our backs, or all and everything in between that can create the risk of having that expensive of a piece of equipment out there and being just capitalized all at the beginning. So those incentive programs have been absolutely critical to make it possible for us.
Gotcha. Thank you, Blake. We still have time for questions, so we can go to next slide and open it up to questions for the landscaper experiences. So let me look through. I see one raised hand, so I'm just going to go there. And it's Augie Venezia. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Augie. So go ahead and say your affiliation and your question, please.
Well, Fairfax Lumber and Hardware, and we're in Marin County. And the only reason I raised my hand at that point was because the first landscape speaker, I couldn't hear a darn thing. So I don't know if he had anything important to say, but I certainly couldn't hear him. But I do have a question regarding the landscapers, at least one of them, and that would be, how much money did you spend to go 100% electric? And how much money did you get back in grants to help cover the cost?
It was about $250,000 in equipment, of which just about half of that ultimately came back in grants.
And have you had any problems with batteries that no longer hold their charge? And if so, what's in place to dispose of them?
Well, I haven't personally had to deal with that yet. And one of the other perks of working with Crest as a provider is their very strong warranty and commitment to the product. It's a 5-year warranty on their batteries, and even if one fails, it's a 5 years from that replacement point again. So I haven't had to deal with that shelf life, or that the removal of batteries from our fleet yet.
Okay, thank you.
The charge life has been consistent so far, and it is apparently part of that warranty program. If it is not to par, that still gets the battery replaced.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm not seeing any questions in the Q&A. I'm not seeing any raised hands. I see Vicky's hand. Go ahead, Vicky, and ask your question.
No, not me.
Oh. Augie, I still see a raised hand. Did you have another question? Okay. So we still have like 2 more minutes in this section for questions, but if there aren't any, we can move on to the next slide. Oh, here's a question. Okay, let me just speak this question out in the Q&A. We've got an anonymous attendee. Are you exclusively using Crest products to charge? If so, how has it been?
We are using exclusively Crest to charge. We had Husqvarna before as our first swing at it, and we had a lot of problems with their chargers burning up, and the fact that it took so much longer to charge than to burn the battery out or use the capacity of the battery. So we ended up going to Cress, and getting your charge infrastructure in place is challenging, but the chargers themselves have stood up well.
Thank you, Blake. I'm not seeing any more questions, so in the interest of time, I'm going to move on, and we'll have more Q&A in the next Q&A section. So thank you, Blake, Chris, and Eric. I'm going to go to the next question. I'm sorry, next slide, which is a poll. So hi, everyone. Please answer the short poll that I will launch. And let me launch the poll. And if you guys could answer that poll, it'll share the audience composition. And then I will share the results so folks can see. I'm just going to give it a minute. And I'm not really, oh, there's one more change. I'm not seeing much changes. I'm going to end the poll and share the results. So that's the results of the poll. It's going to leave it up for a few seconds. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing now. Okay, and next slide. Okay, so power management products can charge multiple batteries unattended. Several such products are shown in this slide. Next slide, please. And we have representatives from Crest speaking today, and they will speak on their power management devices or smart charging. So take it over, Gabe.
Thank you. I think I need sharing access.
Oh, sorry. Let me. Nicole, can you change the sharing?
I think that, okay, I was just going to ask Matt if he could stop sharing his screen. Gabe, can you try again?
Okay. Give me a second. Sorry.
No worries. Can you see the share button at the bottom, the green button?
Yeah, it just came up. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes, perfect.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank the landscaper panelists because this is all really about helping the industry and all of the landscapers navigate through this tricky path to go from gas to battery. And I feel very fortunate to follow Chris and Blake. And I thank you guys because you've been incredible partners for Cress, coming on board in the beginning with us and partnering with us to give us great product feedback. So I just wanted to quickly explain, we have a incredible team at Cress in our California team that I'm very fortunate to be part of this team. And we probably have collectively about 60 plus years of landscaper industry experience from the industry. And specifically, our team has a ton of experience in battery technology, charging infrastructure, and landscaper robotics. So we really understand what's happening in the future, and we're super passionate about partnering with folks. The other thing is over half our team is bilingual in English and Spanish, so we can go into the field and get actual feedback from the team in the field. Let me give you a quick scope of who Cress is, because I think most people haven't heard of us. Cress is one of 5 technology companies that is part of the Positech group. And as you can see by these numbers, we have almost 5,000 employees worldwide, $900 million in annual sales. And I'm actually speaking to you tonight from our headquarters in Charlotte because I'm out here for a meeting. But Cress is the commercial battery powered and robotics brand for the Positech group. Like, I think a lot of people may have heard of like Works as an example. That's a brand of battery tools we use and sell for homeowners. But Cress is purely designed for commercial. There's 2 aspects of Cress. One is the robotics division, and we have a series of wireless robot mowers that use 4G cellular and RTK technology, and we can mow between 3/4 and 9 acres of grass. And these days, landscapers are starting to deploy them to augment their labor challenges that they may have. But robots are great for not only homeowners, but for golf courses, HOAs, corporate campuses, schools, et cetera. So that's an area that we will continue to innovate. Tonight, I think we want to specifically talk a little further about our battery technology and our solution. And we have this claim on our website. We're the only battery solution for commercial landscapers. And there's a couple reasons how we can underpin that. Number one is when you run Cress, because of our fast charging systems, only Cress allows you to save more money than operating gas equipment or other battery brands. And I'll give you some examples why. There's no depletion or drop in performance power. That's really critical. Like, we're trying to replace gas tools with battery, and basically landscaping is outside production, and you need to be able to get in and get out of your clients and run a tight business. And the last thing, and Blake and everybody's mentioned this before, but there's health and safety benefits to all the workers in the field. So there's really 4 obstacles that are really key for battery conversion. Number one is can't have a drop in productivity. And you can't run out of battery charge. That's critical, right? You're replacing gas and you're now completely dependent on battery technology. Number 2, power output, right? Got to have the power of gas-like tools. Number 3 is battery life. And folks have even asked questions about, the number of cycle charges and the warranty of the battery. So I'll mention that. And the last is really, really critical, but how many batteries do you need to buy to get through the day for every crew? And what does that affect your bottom line as a landscape company? Fundamentally, Cress has this very innovative battery technology. We spent 10 years hiring some PhDs in Canada about 15 years ago, and they developed our own battery technology. It is a lithium-ion battery technology, but it actually allows us to charge and discharge without overheating the batteries, and that's what's really critical. We're the only company, as Blake said, that you can charge our batteries in either 8 or 14 minutes. We do have some other batteries that may take 90 minutes, but essentially what Blake said, you can use Crest tools and batteries and you can charge faster than you can discharge. And that's what provides the zero downtime to landscapers. We have a complete line of battery charging solutions, and this is a sample. And what our team likes to do is ask landscapers, do you have access to charge during the day when you're on site? Or maybe you don't. And we have a different series of battery chargers and battery technology solutions that we would pair you with your team to help you achieve the performance you need and the runtime to get through the day. Let's talk about performance. This is our backpack battery. This is the commercial battery system. It has 35 newtons of power or 900 CFMs. This blower has 4 settings, and it has more power than a Stihl BR600 gas blower. There's 4 settings. Most people run it on 2, but there's plenty of power. And we have a lot of other tools to complete the landscaper truck, but that's not the issue. I do want to dwell on a couple areas that are really critical. Number one is you have to pay attention to the battery life cycle, and that's measured in charge cycles. So you'll see here, our cyber solution batteries will last 6-year warranty or 3,000 cycle charges. A cycle charge at Crest is a dead battery, a dead battery to a fully charged battery, 100% charge. One time is one cycle. So 3,000 cycles or 6 years. And then the cyber capsule and nano battery is 4 years and 1,200 cycles. But when you're evaluating landscape tools and batteries, please pay attention to this because you're really buying into the battery technology and you're buying into a subscription of charging. So here's a visual explanation of what that looks like. This is what it would cost to outfit a crew. If you just look at the battery component, so this is like a two-man crew. That's the initial purchase to run a two-man crew. You need around 5,000 to 6,000 watts of power. And guess what? Because we have a 6-year warranty, you're making that purchase one time with Crest. And this is what it looks like when you're using other brands. You're going to most likely have to rebuy the whole battery system again because you have a shorter warranty period. We're super fortunate. These are some of the battery or the landscape companies that we've partnered with. Stay Green is an incredible partner, as well as Garden View, Nieves in Southern California. We've got Monarch coming online nationally now. And really, we're very fortunate to partner with a lot of the top landscape companies. This is an example of now with the core program coming back into play, and we thank you guys for that. But you can essentially run a full Crest kit, tools and batteries for $243 a month when you split it into a 3-year payment period. And we have programs to lease or rent product. And then if you look at that comparison to the $710 it would take just to buy 2-cycle oil and gas for a month. So this is an example how our system, because of the fast charging batteries, allows you to reduce your cost. And then lastly, a couple more slides. One is, this is a typical landscaper kit for tools and batteries from Crest. Your retail price is around $18,000. With the core rebate, you can get about a $10,000 rebate. Your leftover purchase price is $7,700. And again, that's where we got that $243 a month if you decide to do the lease or rental program. The last thing I want to say is please follow the advice from Eric and Chris and Blake and try everyone's equipment out, because you really have to live the experience of what it's going to take to get through the day, running people's batteries, experiencing the complexity of charging. And we have a free trial program, and I invite anybody to participate. And we basically come on site, train your team, and allow you to try our product for 10 days. And I think I'll turn it back over, try to keep it under the time frame here. And thank you for the opportunity, Ash, and team to present today.
Thank you, Gabriel. So if you could stop, that's perfect. And then we'll send it over to J.R. Huerta from Ego to share on their power management devices or smart charging.
Hi, thank you everyone for having me tonight. My name is J.R. Huerta. I am with Ego Commercial, and I am the Territory Sales Manager for the Pacific Southwest. I'm very excited today to share about Ego and what we've been doing in the industry. Ego is a part of Chevron Global. Ego is one of the brands for Chevron North America, and we've just released, about 2 years ago, we started Ego Commercial by releasing the LVPX 8000 blower, which is an 800 CFM backpack blower. And that was our entry into the commercial market. But we've been in the cordless space for outdoor power equipment for 15 years now, or just about. We have over 15 million batteries out in the field in North America, which makes us the biggest and most popular battery platform in North America. And about a year and a half ago, we released our stick tool commercial equipment and added a few more things to that along the way. And we can talk about that a little bit later in the slideshow. But we want to talk about PGX commercial charging and how we offer versatility, durability, expandability, and help contractors get throughout their day by offering this charging solution. Let me see if I can change slides here. So our PGX power management system consists of 3 different components. The brain of the operation would be the PGX hub, which is that first piece that you see there on the left. That is a 1600-watt charger, okay? And what you can do when we talk about versatility is you can daisy chain those 3-port docks to that 1600-watt charger. Now you can add up to 24 of those docks to that single 1600-watt hub, allowing you to charge up to 70 batteries overnight using a single 15-amp, 120-volt outlet. So that allows you to charge that many batteries without actually adding to your existing electrical infrastructure or adding any kind of cost on the back end there. The third piece to this solution is the power bank. The PGX power bank is a 2.2 kilowatt bank that you charge and you can daisy chain into those docks and the hub for charging overnight as well. Now you can take that with you once it's charged in the morning and be able to charge up to 2.2 kilowatts worth of power in the field. Now what makes this truly unique in this aspect is that the power bank itself is truly versatile and it's truly something you can transport. There are some others on the market today where they talk about being able to take that with you, but the weight is prohibitive of actually being able to do that. This power bank is under 90 pounds fully loaded, and you can stack more than 2 of them together, and it is a very cost-effective way of being able to charge in the field and on the go. So with this power hub, again, you can charge up to 15 kilowatts overnight using a single hub, and it's compatible with all 56-volt batteries. We have our platform is 56 volts all the way across the platform. We've been in the same platform since our inception, which means is you can use a battery from 14 years ago and stick it on a commercial or a retail item, and it's the same exact platform, and vice versa. So they're cross-compatible. Now, these batteries come in 8 different sizes, ranging from 2.5 amp all the way up to 12 amp, allowing you to be versatile in the way that you can balance your runtime with the comfortability of the weight tailored to each person's specification. So let me move on to the next slide. One of the things I do want to mention about these batteries is the technology that goes into them. Basically, we have a patented power management solution or system to maximize the power and runtime of each battery. They are rated at 1,200 cycles, which, just to give everybody an idea, a cycle is when you charge a battery from 0 to 100%. If you were to charge a battery that's only half depleted and you were charging at 50%, that's only half a cycle. So five days a week, 50 weeks a year, you're looking at over 4 to 5 years worth of cycles or use. And it doesn't mean that at 1,200 cycles you lose all use of the battery. What it means is that you start to lose charging 5% capacity, then to 90. But in any case, you have a very long life. The other thing that we want to emphasize on our battery platform is its durability. Now, these things are rugged and shock absorbent, which means you can actually drop one of these up to 15 feet, pick it up and put it right back into your machine and continue working. Now, we all know that if you're in the field you're going to have a lot of droppages. You're going to have stuff banging around the back of a truck or a trailer sometimes, or thrown into the back of a truck or a Cushman or a Gator. And you need to be able to trust that that battery is going to be good to go, even though you may have had a mishap by dropping it. The other thing is these batteries are all IPX4 rated, which means they can take light rain. All our tools are IPX5 rated, which means they can take a little more rain than that. If they can get wet, you can continue to finish the job. So when we say durability, we really mean it. We mean the ability to continue to work under the conditions that professionals are demanding of. The resins, well, I'll get to that in the next slide. I was going to start talking about tools, but let me move on to the next slide. So when we talk about tailored to your business, really inexpensive. I urge you to reach out to your local dealer or distributor or myself directly, and we can talk a little bit more about that. But when you start to compare the cost benefits of using eGrow versus some of the competitors, you'll soon realize how cost effective we can be. And we give you the versatility again. You can charge overnight by setting this up in a shop or garage or wherever you might be working out of. You can charge on board, which means is you can set up a trailer and just connect to it at night. So you can charge all your crews, or you can charge off grid by charging these power banks and taking them with you. All right.
We're at we're about at 8 minutes. JR?
Oh, sorry about that. Well, let me jump past the tools. I wanted to speak on power management. This is something that is really unique to us. This will be released in April. And the first release will include power management. So you'll be able to go onto an app or on your laptop and be able to manage your charging. So I heard people say that they lost power overnight in some cases. And if you don't know it, by the time you get to the shop, you're not going to work that day. You just don't have anything charged up. This power management app will allow you to set alarms. So you know if power has been lost, you'll be able to see to the minute when your batteries will be completed in charging. And you'll be able to dictate off-peak times to start charging so you can maximize your cost effectiveness of charging overnight. This will be available in April. Later releases will include capabilities of connecting your tools so you can see runtime, trigger times on your tools themselves, set parameters on service intervals, say for sharpening blades of a mower or something like that. We are really looking forward to working with you. We offer free demos. We have TSMs throughout the country, specifically in California. Please reach out and we'd be happy to train and demo equipment, allow you to use it for a couple of weeks and really get a feel for what it is we can do for you and what solutions we can offer. Thank you so much for the time. If you have any questions, I'll be here.
Thank you, JR. And next we're going to go to questions. And we'll have 10 minutes for questions on power management devices. So if you could raise your hand using the raise your hand feature or type your questions in the Q&A, excuse me, we will take questions in the order they're received. Okay, there's, no, that one's already. So there's one question in the Q&A, but I'm going to save that for the incentives round to review grants and rebates. Okay, and then we have a question from Augie Venezia. This is for JR. Are the Ego batteries the same for commercial as well as residential?
Yes, they are. And they do carry a 3-year warranty for all sizes from 2.5 to 8. And then the 10 and 12 amp hour batteries go up to 5-year warranty with registration.
Thank you, JR. I don't see any raised hands, and I don't see any other open questions here. Just give it a minute more for folks to ask any questions. And I'm not seeing any more, so we can move on to the next slide. Okay, next we have our incentives panel. So we have invited representatives on our incentives panel to answer questions. Panel members include Air District representatives and Carl Moyer program representatives, as well as core program representatives. Please raise your hand using the raise your hand feature or type your question in the Q&A. We will take questions again one at a time in the order received, taking turns with the registration questions first, and then the spoken and Q&A questions. And let me find the questions asked in registration. Okay. Sorry, before I do that, let me introduce the incentives panel. So next slide, please, Matt. Okay, one slide before, please. Oh, weird. Okay, I will just introduce our panel members. So our panel members are from the California Air Resources Board, Josh Simmons, who is an air resources engineer for the Carl Moyer program, Vicki Hanks, who's an air pollution specialist for the Carl Moyer program, AJ Edwards, who is an air resources engineer on the Clean Off-Road Equipment Voucher Incentive Project, or CORE. And from the air districts, we have Eugen Tan, who is a program supervisor for the South Coast Air District. We have Brian Dole, who is an assistant air quality engineer for the Sacramento Metro Air District. We have Stephanie Hitchman, who is the senior air quality specialist for the San Joaquin Valley Air District. And we have Eden Winifred, who is an air quality planner for Yolo Solana Air District, but also works on Placer County Air District's Lawn and Garden program. So now I am going to start with the questions we received in registration. Okay, so for the first question that we received on incentives and funding, the question was, what help or incentive funding is available to transition to Z? And this question was asked by Julia Beitel of Korotkin Associates, Blake Meal from Garden View Inc., Dora Yepes from Yepes Landscape, Emily Chamberlain from Lars Engines, Elias Gama from Angelica Maria Landscaping, and Colin Iwasa from Echo. So let me let the incentives panel folks answer this question.
Yeah, I can go first. So I'm AJ Edwards. I work with the CORE program, so I can answer in terms of CORE and that's professional landscaping projects. So in 2021, California appropriated $30 million that went to the CORE professional landscaping project. And we provide monetary vouchers to equipment dealers selling zero emission professional landscaping equipment. These monetary vouchers reduce the point of sale prices by their specified amounts. The equipment buyers must be professional landscaping, small businesses, or sole proprietors based in California and using their equipment 100% of the time in California. So CARB is reopening this program, this voucher request system that we use on March 26th with about $6.7 million still available in the program. And one can visit the website. It's California Core, California, CORE.org, for further information about the Core Professional Landscaping Project.
Thank you, AJ. I guess I'll go. Hi, I'm Eugene Tan. I'm from the South Coast AQMD. On the South Coast Air Basin under our jurisdiction, South Coast AQMD has the Commercial Electric Lawn and Garden Program that currently offers up to 85% off the cost of the equipment, and that's up to the equipment type cap that's dictated in the Carl Moyer program guidelines. And we have it open for a lot of different equipment, such as chainsaws, leaf blowers, walk behind lawnmowers, as well as ride on and sit and stand on mowers. Thank you.
Go
Go ahead, Vicky.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Just to reiterate what South Coast was saying, the Carl Moyer program is an incentive voucher program available to replace combustion lawn and garden equipment to cordless zero-emission electric equipment for residential and commercial applicants through the participating local air districts. And some of them are here today. So, yeah, ask away.
I'll jump in next. So I'm Stephanie Hitchman with the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District. We cover 8 counties from San Joaquin County all the way down through the valley portion of Kern County. And we have the zero emission landscape equipment program for commercial landscapers, and also as well as public entities or any type of business that might do their own landscaping on their own premises for business purposes, mostly schools, hospitals, big corporate buildings. We follow Carl Moyer funding levels and equipment guidelines for those. But if you're interested in the program and you operate within the San Joaquin Valley, then you're welcome to come and apply with us. And if you have any questions, please let us know.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. I will go to the next questions from registration. The next question is, are vehicles with power export capabilities in scope for funding opportunities and incentives? And this is from Paul Stitt from Project Green On-Ramp.
I don't mind jumping in first for this one, Ash. So just in case, this equipment type is not eligible through the lawn and garden chapter of the Carl Moyer program. But light duty vehicles, for example, like if it were a Ford F-150, would not be eligible. But you're welcome to inquire directly with your local air district to see if they have a funding for this project type, or feel free to send in a more specific question to us at the Moyer program, and we can evaluate that on a case-by-case level to moyerhelp@arb.ca.gov. And we can put it in I'll put in the chat.
Yeah, I'll just chime in that in general, vehicles with the ability to provide electrical power are not currently part of any CARB incentive programs that target small off-road engines, which the CORE program does and the Carl Moyer program does. So in general, the answer is no.
Okay, so let's go on to the next question. We've got, what is the rebate or the percentage that is being offered to offset the costs of zero emissions equipment? And this is from Sonia Bergueno from Frank's Landscaping Services.
I'm still unmuted, so I'll start off this one. For the core professional landscaping project, the voucher system provides up to 70% point of sale discounts on qualifying zero emission landscaping equipment. There are also fixed dollar amount caps depending on the category of equipment, like a riding lawnmower versus a leaf blower. Again, all these incentive caps are available at californiacore.org.
Well, I can go then. As I mentioned, under the South Coast AQMD on our commercial electric lawn and garden program, it's 85% of the cost of the equipment up to the equipment in type cap. So, okay.
For Yellow Solano and Placer, we are offering up to 100% of the cost of the equipment up to those fixed caps for a piece of equipment.
I will add for Sac Metro Air District, we do up to 100% of the voucher amount for small businesses, and then 85% for any large or non-small business commercial company.
Sounds good. Maybe I'll go on to the next question. The next question is, what is the process of stacking and receiving incentives? What are the limits? This is from Sonia, also from Sonia Bergueno from Frank's Landscaping Services.
So I can start with this one. That's okay. Yeah. So there can be stacking between Moyer and Core, but the stacking needs to start with the Air District Moyer programs. The Moyer programs must be initiated before a purchase order is made, whereas the Core program, if you're going to stack it's initiated after the purchase order. And that's kind of like the nuts and bolts of it. And the stacking that we allow in Core with the Moyer is up to 100% of the purchase price.
Can I add a just in case Moyer requirement? Because like everything AJ said is 100% accurate. And then additionally for Moyer, just in case, Moyer does require scrappage, and then claiming the emission reductions for the project.
Thank you, you guys. The next question is, are the core voucher amounts going to be the same as last round? And that is from Christine Chapman of Cress.
Yes, the core vouchers will be the same levels as in the previous round. And again, we'll be reopening on March 26th.
Thank you, AJ. Okay, so that was the end of our registration questions, and I see two questions I see two questions in the Q&A, and I'm going to go with the first one is by Anonymous. Can we review current grants and rebates available for transition to battery powered equipment? And I'm reading this as like Carl Moyer and Core. But let me turn it over to you guys.
Yeah, that's fine. What I was thinking about was placing the chapter from our last updated guidelines, the 2024 Carl Moyer Lawn and Garden chapter, in the chat for our anonymous attendee to kind of review the Carl Moyer aspect of it. So I'll put that in the chat now.
Sounds awesome, Vicky. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and put the californiacore.org website also in the chat for people.
Perfect. Thank you, AJ.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Eden.
For the current funding available in Yolo and Solano, we have a wait list right now. We typically open this program up in the springtime because that's about when we get our funding allocations from the state and have fully processed those. In Placer County, we still have money available, but it's only for nonprofits and public agencies at the moment.
And let me go through the rest of the questions here. So our next question in the Q&A is from Augie Venezia. Are there any incentives for residential to swap out gasoline devices to battery brands?
I'll go on that one. We at San Joaquin Valley, we also have a residential program for swapping out lawnmowers. So we do a residential lawnmower program. Our programs are always available all the time, so they don't close. You can also purchase electric lawn care equipment, such as weed eaters and chainsaws, string trimmers, no blowers through the residential program, but that one's not a replacement program, it's just a new purchase. So if you purchase, it's a rebate, turn in, we'll give you $50 towards your new purchase.
And Yolo Solano is planning to open a residential program by the end of this calendar year. So we don't offer one right now, but it is in the works.
The same goes for Sac County. We're currently in development of our residential program. It should have it open hopefully within like the June, July timeframe. But that is for the future.
In South Coast AQMD, we do have a residential program that offers up to $250. And it is open year round. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us or go onto our webpage.
Sounds good. And then we've got one last question for the ed districts. What are the current funds available from Raul Serrato? Raul Serrato?
I'll go on that. I think Raul might be sending it over to us. So currently with the South Coast AQMD in the commercial lawn and garden program, we still do have available funds. It's approximately right now we still have about a little bit over 4 million in funds for the commercial lawn and garden program.
Sounds good. And I think we are right at time. So thank you, everybody. So we still have another Q&A. So if there were questions in the webinar chat, I will get to that next. But let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so now, next up, we would like to request your input on future workgroup topics. Please share them with us either through chat, sharing by speaking, or you can email suggestions to us at the Landscaper inbox, which is landscaper@arb.ca.gov. Next slide, please. Okay, this slide is contact information. So say you had a question or you have stuff that you didn't get to. We have listed a few contacts for the programs discussed here. If you have questions for us, please email us at soar@arb.ca.gov or landscaper@arb.ca.gov. If you have questions about Carl Moyer, it's moyerhelp@arb.ca.gov. And for core or the clean off-road equipment, it's core@arb.ca.gov. Next slide, please. So this I just want to talk about briefly. The next Landscaper Workgroup meeting is tentatively on May 28th, 2025. I also want to share some upcoming Landscaper events that may be helpful. So there's the Street Tree Western Tree Management Symposium, that's tomorrow. There's the Zero E Expo, the Equip Exposition in Kentucky, and the Landscape Expo. And we will share those links in the chat. And now we'll take more questions. So let me just look here. I think we answered this one already. Questions for AQMD. So I'm going to just hit answer live and done. Can the chat be emailed to me? I am not sure. I have to check on that and find out. And I will get back to you, Sonia. And let me look if I think there was a question here in the chat. Okay, will there be additional Carl Moyer grant money for San Diego County? I am not sure. Does anybody in the incentive panel know the answer to that question?
I sent GR the contact person for the Moyer program in San Diego, just in case you can check with the district direct.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's okay, it might be helpful for everyone else, so no worries.
Okay, so next, let's go through more Q&A, and let me pull up the questions that we received in the chat. Okay, so I am keeping an eye on the raised hands and the Q&A, but these are the registration questions that we received. So the first question that we got, a lot of people had this question. Let me read it. We've got, what are the updates for landscapers in terms of restrictions, enforcement schedule, and bans for small off-road engines? A lot of them talked about cost being a hurdle to upgrading infrastructure and zero emission equipment, and what help is available. For example, funds, time to change over to zero emission equipment, and longevity of zero emission equipment. This question was asked by Colin Iwasa from Echo, Ben Westerberg from Doosan Bobcat, James Haberger from Pacific Vista, and Carl Clifton from Lawnscape Systems. So let me answer this question. So in terms of updates of the small off-road engines regulations for landscapers, so CARB regulates the emissions from the production and sale of new small off-road engines or SAW, and does not have in-use requirements for CARB certified SAW equipment. So that means there's no requirement for users to purchase zero emission equipment. Users may continue to use, repair, and maintain the existing certified equipment for the remainder of its useful life. The next part is what help is available. So a strategy some companies use for longevity of Z is purchasing and using extra batteries. They also use the smart charging switches as shown in this and other workgroup meetings. Landscapers are encouraged to purchase Z as needed or to transition to transition as gas-powered equipment is retired. We have the Zero Emission Equipment Roadshow, or Z Roadshow, which is a great opportunity to try out different equipment. If you're interested in trying out this opportunity, please email us at soar@arb.ca.gov to request the Z Roadshow for a trial period. Incentive funding may be available through your local air district or core when available, and as our incentives panels have discussed. And there are service planning departments for upgrading your meter panel for small equipment charging needs with your electric utility department. The following information, the contact information for that is the following. For PG&E, it's PG&E's Building and Renovation Service Center. That's 877-743-7782. I'm going to put this in the chat, so I'll paste it in there. For San Diego Gas and Electric, that contact information is 800-411-76 7343. And for Southern California Edison, that customer service number is 800-655-4555. And I'm just going to copy this and paste it in the chat. So you have those numbers. Sorry, it went below and I'm, it won't let, do I just hit enter? There we go. Okay, so that was that question. And the next question we had was, is there still a ban on 25 horsepower engines? Who does the SOAR regulations apply to? We got this question from Dan Krakowski from Sierra Repair and from Carl Clifton from Lawnscape Systems. So let me answer this question. The SOAR regulations apply to manufacturers, sellers, retailers, and distributors producing, distributing, and selling new spark ignition engines at or below 25 horsepower or 19 kilowatts. They do not apply to end users. CARB certified equipment may continue to be sold, used, repaired, and maintained indefinitely. Okay, next question. This question here is, please provide an update of the Landscaper panel objectives and activity. And this question was from Greg Knott of Outdoor Power Equipment Institute. And let me go through that. So CARB's objective for the Landscaper panel remains consistent with the proposal outlined during earlier workgroup meetings. And that is to make sure that the Landscaper workgroup meetings provide useful and relevant information for landscapers. We proposed forming a panel of landscapers and envisioned panel discussion on suggested topics of zero emission equipment and incentives experience, and also landscaper panelist Q&A from other landscapers. A goal of the panel is also to ensure various sizes of landscaping businesses are represented on the panel. We are still accepting nominations for the panel. CARB staff have proposed to have 12 positions on the panel, 6 for sole proprietors, 3 for landscaping businesses with 1 crew, and 3 for landscaping businesses with 2 or more crews. Landscapers also provide input in the work group by co-developing the agenda and sharing future topic requests. The work group meets quarterly, and core elements of the work group include answering questions on the SOAR regulations, incentive funding, and listening to and responding to landscaper input. This includes an incentive panel where Q&A is facilitated with representatives of air districts. So those were my registration questions. I'm looking at the Q&A. I'm not seeing anything there. I'm not seeing any raised hands. But let me give folks a minute. If there's no other questions, I think I will hand it over to Christopher to close out our meeting. We've got like 5 more minutes. Do we just want to see if there's any more questions?
Yeah, if there are any other questions, no, raise your hand or enter it in the chat. I'm not seeing any, so, oh, I guess I raised my hand. Oops. Thank you everyone for attending our meeting today. We hope you found it useful. We really appreciate your taking time in the evening for this meeting. Thank you to all of our landscapers who shared their experiences. Thank you to everyone who asked questions today, and to our manufacturers, Cress and Ego, who shared about their charging equipment with us today. With that, we'll conclude the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.